As parents, I'm sure you speak to your children about a lot of problems. Problems like friends, studies, school. Do you want to know what I talk to your children about? Well, I talk to them about all of this, but I also talk to them about drugs, alcohol, sex, depression, sexuality, and yes, for some reason, of late, nudies. Now, as we sit there discussing things, one thing that stands out is confusion. Why does this confusion exist? Well, as adults, we seem to be confused too. We live in an age of extremism, extreme problems, extreme solutions. And when there are problems with children, the fingers of doubt point to the parents. And there are extremes there as well. At one extreme, we have the overprotective parent. At the other, we have the overindulgent one. Now, the way I look at it, the solution to the problem lies somewhere in between these extremes. However, to understand the solution, we do need to take a look at the extremes. So the first type of parenting I would like to discuss is the extreme parent. Now, this parent turns into the all-around know-it-all the moment the child is born. This is the type of parent who treats even the commonest of colds like a villain that has to be immediately eradicated. For us teachers, this parent keeps us on our toes. Why? When they come for a parent-teacher meeting, we have these one-liners that we push in. We start off with, your child is very hardworking, is very, very intelligent. And then we try to slip in this very subtle but. These parents, they catch that but. And right over there, we found ourselves an instant enemy. I look at these parents as the super spy. Why? Because they see it all, somehow they hear it all, and they do it all, leaving nothing for their children to do. Now, the consequence of this type of parenting could be either the child turns out to be very nervous and underconfident, or conversely, extremely overconfident and walks around with this sense of entitlement. That's probably because the parent has somehow shown the child that, yes, they will look after everything and they will fight all their child's battles. You think I'm exaggerating. A few years ago, this mother walks into my office with a 2-page long list of things that her child cannot eat. No, not because the child had any allergies. It is because the child might develop allergies somewhere in the future. Now, the next type of parenting that I would like to discuss is the extreme friend. For me, this parent is an amazement. They are super cool. They hang out with their children, they chill out with them, they allow them to explore their world with absolutely no boundaries. They actually tell me, I am growing with my child, I'm maturing with my child, I'm learning new things with my child. And all this is great, really, right up until puberty. And that's when everything comes to a screeching halt. That same parent will say, my child is very, very spoiled, I don't know how that happened. Now, this parent, at this stage, does not understand that this child is trying to develop their sense of the world. They're trying to take information from the world, trying to take information from what we are giving them, trying to take information from Google, and trying to understand their own schema. And this is when the child needs a parent the most. Considering all the stuff that's out there, they need to be guided. And what are these parents doing? They're giving them 2 extra friends. It is when a child is allowed to do what they want, as they want, and how they want, that I get these ridiculous requests. Ma'am, can you please ask my son to cut his nails? He doesn't listen to me anymore. Or just the other day, ma'am, please tell my daughter to have a shower. She's not done it for some time. I had to ask this parent, why? Why is your daughter not showering? She says, because she's always stuck with these gadgets of hers. I had to look at her, ma'am, this is your child. And technically, those are your gadgets. Please go in there and take them away. I will not judge you. Now, with this back and forth and these crazy requests, I realized that something had to be done. But I just didn't know what. And this one day, just after this lady had left my office, after convincing me, to tell her child that yes, he has to put his dirty laundry in the laundry basket after school, that is when I had my eureka moment. I jumped out of my chair, ran up 2 flights of stairs, searching for a friend to share my glee with. And then I realized I might be looking really silly. So I stopped, found myself a pen and a paper, and I wrote this down. Now, what is this? This is what I like to call my parenting formula. It's nothing complex. All it means is that to raise a happy, grounded child, all you need to do is be a constant parent and be friendly with that child in proportion to the need of the child. Now, before I go deeper into this formula, let me just draw your attention to the word friendly here. The friendly parent and the extreme friend parent are 2 very different things. The extreme friend, as we already heard, has told me that they've already given up their maturity. The friendly parent maintains their maturity and their adult ideas and ideals. Now, as I kept looking at this formula and trying to figure out, is this going to work? Something at the back of my mind told me, yes, it has to work. It does work. And I knew this as a fact because I had seen this formula in play before. Where had I seen it? Now, people who know me know I'm not a parent yet, but I had seen this in my life. I have 2 parents. In fact, they're both sitting here, and they're the ones who showed me this formula. I'm also pretty sure that right now they're looking at each other, thinking to themselves, oh my goodness, this is the worst possible situation for her to completely lose it. Well, let me jog their memory and allow me to take you on a little trip down my memory lane. There are these 2 incidences that I would like to share, wherein I saw this formula used. The first happened when I had to choose my subjects after the 10th grade. So what did these very friendly parents of mine do? They sat me down and they asked me, what do you want to do? So I told them, and they said, okay. No questions, no judgment, nothing. And then the parent in them kicked in. They went out, they got information on colleges, fee structures, anything that I required to understand, they bought it for me. So essentially what they did was they allowed me to choose my map, but they showed me how to use it. They guided me on how to use it. Now then again, when I was 14 years old, they decided that it was high time I learned how to use my money. Well, I was 14, so it was technically their money. What did my very friendly mother do? She comes to me with a brand new shiny ATM card. I was on top of the world. My very friendly father says he's going to put money in that account every month. Yay, happiest kid on the block. But then, like with every parent, there was a catch. In fact, here there were 2. The first catch was, if I needed to maintain a certain balance in that account, I had to complete a chores list that they gave me, and I also had to maintain my grades and my non-academic activities at a certain level in school. The second catch was, all my expenditures had to come out of that account. So if I had to buy stationery, toiletries, if I wanted to buy something extravagant like a Walkman for all those born after 2000, that is equivalent to an MP3 player. But this Walkman, I had to have it, so I had to get it from that money. Now this taught me a few things. The first thing it taught me was how to value my hard-earned money. The second thing it taught me was that they trust me. And that was the most amazing feeling in the world. Then it taught me that they had my back. Because anytime I ran out, I knew exactly where I should go. And the last thing it taught me was when I made a mistake, It was absolutely fine, so long as I didn't keep making the same mistakes over and over again. So there was this 1 month where I ran out of money to buy soap. And it was only that 1 month when I ran out of money to buy soap. So essentially what happened here was my parents raised a happy, grounded child, me, by being parents who were constant. But they were also friendly in proportion to how much of friendliness I needed and when. Now, as I looked at the way they ran the show, and I looked at the way they handled all of this, I realized that they played by certain rules, 8 to be exact. So I have divided these 8 rules into 4 rules to help us be a constant parent, and 4 rules to help us be a friendly parent. So the first rule that will help us to be a constant parent is lay down the law. We all have rules to govern us, so why not our kids? Our children need boundaries, and that is a fact. Communicate with your children, and this communication has to be clear. Find the level of your child and communicate with them at that level. It is essential that we open dialogue. There has to be a two-way street. In days gone by, parents would talk, children would listen. Today, children talk, parents, they pretend to listen. We have to make sure that this is a balanced communication. And this is my favorite. Please stop with the "when I was your age" story. Yes, a lot of agreement. We've all heard this story. Yes, we also told ourselves that we wouldn't tell our children this story. But 2017 is here, and what are we doing? We're telling them the story. My dear friends, we have to understand that we will never be their age in this day and age. So all those little tidbits and jewels that we want to throw at them is a little bit obsolete right now. Now, to be a friendly parent, all you need to do is listen with your heart and listen with your head. Accept your children for who they are, because they are the best possible versions of themselves. We are human, and we have every right to make mistakes. When you do make a mistake, and if your child does point it out, there is absolutely no need for you to be defensive about it. This will make you more human. And in connection with that, learn to laugh at yourself a bit. Because with humor comes more humanity. With that comes more approachability. So maybe somewhere in the future, your children will be talking to you about drugs, sex, and rock and roll instead of talking to me about it. Now, the best part about this formula is that it can be used at any time. But like Frederick Douglass once said, it is much easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Thank you.